Hello and welcome, esteemed guests, to my channel. My name is Ainsley. Let's do stuff. Today we are doing what I'm calling random roulette challenge. I've seen Claire Siobhan do it on her channel, but I'm sure other YouTubers have done it as well, where basically you put a list of different options for attributes into these little wheels and decide randomly what your sim is going to look like. So I did that for 4 sims in this video, and I didn't want to call it like random genetics, which is I think what she called hers, because I know that is its own separate type of challenge. So the first sim is a very pale, very thin sim with light blue eyes and red hair who has a vintage retro style. I didn't specify on the wheel what vintage retro really meant or what decade I meant, because even I wasn't sure, but I like what I end up with in the end. I think I was originally in my head envisioning like a 40s to 50s poofy dress type of sim, and that's actually not what I end up doing. I think the really fun thing about challenges like this is that they're not set in any way. They shake you out of your normal box of how you do things like create sims, so I didn't want to be so specific on the wheel choices that I couldn't sort of go in whatever direction that I was vibing once I was in to create a sim. And boy oh boy do I vibe in some very weird ways in this video. These are some very unique looking sims. I think only 2 of which are like passable as people that you can imagine in real life. Well, I mean, that's not entirely true. I can see each of these people existing, but I think what I mean is that if they were to just be loose roaming around your game, they might stick out a bit. Though that being said, townies do wear some pretty weird eccentric getups. I didn't randomize any of the facial features for these sims. I just went with my standard operation of starting with a sim and then trying for every sim that comes after to look different in some way. I was trying out a few different hairstyles here because I wanted the hair to be reflective of the retro vintage look I was giving her, and I settled on this hair color for a bit because in my mind for some reason I thought it was more auburn than it was, but I go back and changed it to be a more true red. I also put her in this jacket, which totally kicks off more of a like rockabilly biker chick vibe than like the vintage pinup, so I really like the way that I go in the end. I wouldn't say she's meant to be dressed like someone from that time period, but I think she's in an outfit that's inspired by that time period. Also, hilarious side note, I just had to take a pause in my voiceover because my father came in to inform me that he purchased a sports car, secondhand for a very reasonable price, and I had advised him to do it in the first place, so this is a good happy anecdote and not a oh my god can you believe my father anecdote, but I just thought I'd share that. Pretty exciting. Here I'm giving her some tattoos because I thought they would suit her look. I like that chest piece, but I don't like how dark it makes the neck area, like it's one solid color. I wish there was more variation in tone so it didn't look like costumey, I guess. So I give her one that you can see under her collar and just at the wrist under her jacket because I thought that was equally as cool. I also gave her one of the microdermal piercings just under her eye and those really cool retro cat eye glasses, and I called her Billy Rockwell as a little like pun on rockabilly. I made her a mischievous insider because I thought she might like run a girl gang. I like girl gangs. They're pretty cool. I feel like I design a lot of sims that could run a girl gang. I have never done that as gameplay before, but I don't know, maybe that's something I'd have to try out. I only recently got Get Together, so I've never really had the gameplay options to have like groups before. I don't know, something to consider. Let me know in the comments below if you'd be interested in like a girl gang let's play. Anyway, moving on to our next sim. She has dark brown eyes and vibrant hair, a medium skin tone, and a very curvy body, and dresses with a lot of skin showing. This is another one of those sims that like I was kind of immediately picturing Kardashian, and that's not what she ends up looking like. Actually, she also ends up looking like she could run a girl gang. I told you, it's a thing with me. I think just by virtue of like body type and skin tone and dress sense, there's comparisons to be made, but she's a lot more like laid back and sporty casual. Although I might just be describing the Kardashians to a T, I don't really keep up with them. I gave this sim a really square jawline, which like I tend to do anyway. I think if I have one consistency in my sims, it might be that, but like I really gave her a square jawline, like squarer than I knew you could even do in this game. It's like I discovered a whole other point you could grab tab, when you're in edit detail mode, like right at the back near the earlobes, there's another grabby point. That one there. There's a grabby point for the jaw that I didn't even know existed. Or if I did, I didn't know you could pull it to that extreme. That is like an Olivia Wilde level jawline. We are coming up on the hair here. I left vibrant very open so that I could play around with a lot of the different vibrant colors. This hair, I love it so much. The long wavy one. I have not used it on a sim yet, but I have tried it so many times. One of the next Create a Sim challenges I do, I'll have to use it. I liked the green hair color on her, so I used that bob that I've used it before. I think it's my favorite hairstyle. And here I put her in that dress because I was still thinking Kardashian. I also tried this dress on her, which is another one of those things that like I love and I wish that I would use it. I remember when I downloaded it, I was like, when are you ever gonna put someone in a latex dress? But I love it. Instead, what I ended up going with was like this cropped hoodie. And I tried a few different things. I tried these pants, which I thought I was gonna go with for a while, but then I felt like it still wasn't quite enough skin, so I go back after I give her some traits and change it back to shorts because, I don't know, I felt like if the dress sense was like a lot of skin, I almost put her in those jeans too with the big holes, but I settled on these shorts instead. With her aspiration, I wanted her to be a master painter. I wasn't so much seeing someone who did like traditional art at the easel, but I thought she'd make good use of the graffiti, both the mural and the floor pieces that came with, I think it was City Living. I think she strikes me as someone who's kind of rah-rah for the people, shake the system. Hence, you know, she could run a girl gang. So that's what I was picturing. I also made her like self-assured and an art lover and creative. There's a universe in which she and Rockabilly Girl date, and I want to live in that universe. I'm not saying I made my version of Choni, I'm just saying I might have made my version of Choni. If you're a Riverdale fan, let me know in the comments below, though I don't think fan is the right word. We're all suffering in this together. Actually, something I'm thinking of doing is doing a Create a Sim series where I make some of my favorite OTPs from different shows. I'm kind of a big fandom nerd, so having a few more fandom-based discussions on this channel would not be something that I mind. Let me know in the comments below if that's something you'd be interested in seeing. The next sim that we have in this collection has the darkest skin tone, light brown hair, a sort of standard size 12 is how I phrased it, body type. So just like the average sort of plus size model tends to fall around a size 12. And then also her style is kind of suave suits, and she has an otherworldly eye color, which again I left open to my interpretation once I was in there to decide which eye color I wanted. Also, I don't know if you can hear a dog in the background. If you can, I apologize. I waited to see if I could sit out the barking, but it seems to have made up its mind that it just wants to bark. We're just getting into some nicer weather now where I live, so all of the animals in the neighborhood are outside a bit more. Actually, there was a bear on the loose earlier today. I had a cop car do a slow crawl down my street to be on bear watch. It's the end of hibernation season and they're all just kind of coming out now, so we do get bears in my area and there's coyotes. So on top of the neighborhood animals, those are ones to look out for too, though I don't think they make as much noise, at least not when I'm trying to do voiceover. The coyotes can get very loud. They're crepuscular, so during the twilight hours, dawn and dusk, they tend to make a bit of a racket. You can't hear them so much from in town, but if you're out walking in the woods around dawn and dusk, you'll definitely maybe hear a few. When I was growing up, I lived very remotely, and you could hear the coyotes and seals. Seals make such a racket too. They kind of sound like ghosts. Here I'm picking an eye color. I considered doing those clouded over ones or the yellow, but I actually really liked the way that the red looked, and the red actually kind of themes the outfit and the look that I go with. I don't personally own vampires, but if you do, might I recommend playing with this sim as a vampire if you want to download her. You can download the whole family off the gallery. My ID is Ainsley Plays Sims. She gives me big, like, Total Eclipse of the Heart music video vibes. Not so much because of anything in particular, but I give her that suit jacket that has the really pointed shoulders that kind of has this 80s look, and she's got the red eyes. I give her kind of makeup that accentuates those red eyes, so there is definitely something like vampire dinner party about her. The ponytail maybe adds to the look. I know it's supposed to be very sleek, but again, it just kind of screams 80s to me for some reason. Not like the big puffy hair section of the 80s, but another section of the 80s. Does anybody else know what I'm talking about? Leave me a comment down below if you do. And here's where, yeah, I was just really taken by the bold makeup look. It's not to everyone's taste, but I was into it, so I ran with it. And I name her Natalia George because I just kept thinking George Michael with the 80s music. And I make her a foodie party animal because, again, vampire dinner party. You might notice here that some of the wheels look a bit different, and that's because I was having the problem where they would land on the same result over and over. So what I did was change the settings in this program that when you landed on something, it took it away so that it couldn't be landed on twice. And this is just a free website that I'm using. I think it's one of the first results on Google when you search up random wheel. Our last sim has dark brown hair, green eyes, a pear shape, an otherworldly skin tone, and her style is like a style clash. So nothing she wears really goes together. And she was just such a fun sim to make because I didn't have to adhere to some of the same standards that I usually would as far as making sure an outfit looks right. I mean, I did make an effort while I was styling her to match the color story a bit so it looked a bit cohesive, but it was just kind of a free-for-all, which was great. And I also got to use a lot of skin details that I don't always get a chance to use because they look a bit weird when they're on standard skin tones. Some of them, they're either too textured or they put shadows in weird places, but I like the idea of them, so I've just kept them in my mods folder. I haven't gotten rid of them, so I got to play around with those here. Like this skin overlay, I find it looks really cool in theory, but over flesh colors it's a little weird. So I actually used that for this. And I played around with the Kijiko eyelashes that aren't just the standard black and brown, so I gave her some like white eyelashes. I put a hat on while I was testing the hair because I knew that I wanted her to wear a hat from the moment I got Style Clash. That was like the one thing that concretely showed up in my mind as something that I had to include, was like a bowler hat. When I said earlier in the video that she doesn't necessarily look like a real person that you'd run into, that's not entirely true. As someone who went to film school, this is 100% an acting student that I've met. I think anyone who's gone to film school has met this acting student, or even if you've gone to some kind of like arts college or arts program in university, you've definitely run into this person. Comment down below if you've met somebody with this fashion sense. I knew I wanted to mix socks and tights and a bottom and a top, and I was really drawn to the tartan print in this skirt, so it was just a matter of finding other striped things to pair it with that were kind of in similar colors. I like the argyle socks, those are a lot of fun, and like the sort of pinstripes that run horizontally in the shirt clash with the vertical lines in the skirt, and everything is kind of earth toned. She's definitely like a regular patron at a co-op coffee place that has fair trade cold brewed kale lattes made with oat milk, because almond is bad for the environment, but also like she's still a vegan, which I say with love, by the way. I named her Talia because I thought it sounded cool, and I forgot that I had just named a sim Natalia, so you're gonna have to bear with that, and if you want to download them, you can change her name. And I made her erratic to match her style. And that brings us to the end of the video. You'll have to let me know in the comments down below which of these sims is your favorite. I have to say, I think Daria is mine. Her style is so cool, and she's got like such a cool like personality. They all have very distinct personalities, but she has a very cool personality. And I also really like Billy, our rockabilly sim. I like Natalia and Talia too, but they each definitely have like a look, and I think it might be just outside of what my normal wheelhouse is. They were a really fun exercise, but I don't think I'd ever play with them. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing to my channel, as well as leaving a comment and sharing it with your friends. And thank you so much for 10 subscribers. Until next time, get out there and do stuff.